Welcome to the Rockerness Podcast. On this show, we talk to a real who's who of incredible musicians about why they started playing music, what made them stick with it, and then they play us one of the first songs they ever wrote. We're your hosts. I'm Rose Sean.
I'm Terence Leclerc.
And I'm Tony Tancredi.
Today's guest is Sam Lopez, formerly known as Tapioca and the Flea. Sam is an extremely talented multi-instrumentalist, engineer, producer, and singer whose first single as a vocalist is really a story that I should let him tell you in a minute. So, Tony, let's talk about where you found this guy.
Tell us, Tony.
I will. I met Sam when I was drumming with Mount Osa. He was in the ever-growing crew of dope-ass musicians trying to make it out of Orange County. I'd always see him at shows and whatnot, so we became pretty good friends. And you know what? Sam did make it out of Orange County, and he's doing some pretty rad stuff in LA right now.
Big time.
But I'll let him tell you.
Yeah, why would anyone want to leave Orange County? Everyone lives there.
Well, but I mean LA. It's so
okay.
rad up here.
Sure, it's just outside, yeah.
There's opportunity up here.
Sam actually has a frankly astonishing story, a true anomaly in the music business. So get cozy, get ready for a bedtime story, a little rock and roll fairy tale with Sam Lopez.
When's the last time I saw you, you think?
Tapioca and the Flea days, maybe?
Yeah. Like at
That
a show at the
was-
Echo, maybe?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Mount Osa, probably.
Yeah, yeah.
Probably
We
a
probably
Mount
played
Osa
together.
show.
Welcome, Sam.
Welcome, Sam.
Welcome, Sam.
Yeah.
Yes.
So are you from Orange County?
Yeah,
That's all
born and
right.
raised.
All right.
Yeah.
It's interesting because, we've talked to now a number of musicians from Orange County, and it seems like it's really like a fertile ground.
It really is. Like, to look back at everything I experienced when I was first getting into music, it's pretty one of a kind. There's a lot of great artists, a lot of great musicians that came out of Orange County. And
Yeah.
at the time, everyone wanted to get out of Orange County.
Well, yeah.
Everyone thought, oh, this is lame. But now looking back on it, I feel like it fueled a lot of people to make it, to get out of suburbia.
Well, it's
Yeah.
kind of crazy, like how many very successful musicians are
Oh,
from
yeah.
Orange County. And it's funny because, yeah, like you said, like it's kind of a place that you like grow up and don't want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, like if you hadn't grown up there, like would you have done the same things?
No, totally.
So did you like start, taking guitar lessons at the local shop, or how did that go for you?
I got my first guitar when I was 16. I think my dad got me a guitar for my birthday.
What guitar was it?
It was a BC Rich.
Nice.
It was a BC Rich. I forget the model. It was shaped like a bat.
That's awesome.
Shaped like a bat?
It was shaped like a
really,
bat.
truly
Badass.
like a bat.
Like
Badass,
it looked like
yeah.
the
There
Batman
we go.
logo.
That is
Yeah.
so cool. Oh
That's
my
amazing.
God, I
so
love it.
electric. That's
It was
all-
electric.
Yeah.
My dad wanted to get me. My dad was cool. He wanted to get me like a Gibson Les Paul or like a Fender Strat. And at the time, I was like really into like the Misfits and like punk
Oh,
rock.
sweet, yeah.
And so I was like, no, those are
I want
lame.
the bat guitar.
I want this guitar. It's so edgy or whatever.
Yeah.
And now I look
funny.
back and I'm like, oh, it's so embarrassing.
Like you idiot.
So lame.
Somebody could have bought you a Les Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it's funny because years later, for Christmas, I ended up asking for like a Strat or something. And my dad was like, that's what I was trying to get you.
Yeah, like I said, man. Yeah, that's funny.
So that's cool. You're into the Misfits and stuff. Like
Yeah,
punk rock.
yeah. Like, I started listening to music when I was like, I don't know, like 13 or 14. And it was mostly like gangster rap because I
Oh, so,
skateboarded.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
And so a lot of the music that I knew was from like skate videos, or like my older cousin would give me her old CDs.
What were some
Totally.
songs back then?
Gangstar, Above the Clouds.
Gangstar. Yeah.
Fugees.
Yeah.
Oh,
Score.
God, the Fugees,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
album.
That whole album.
That
yeah.
album still slaps. Like you put that on, it's
Oh,
It's
yeah.
sick. I mean, it's all like an MPC and like fucking like it's super minimalistic. I love it.
Yeah,
so
it was
good.
great. That was like the soundtrack of my skating.
Yeah.
So you were kind of, you were into like hip hop and punk.
Yeah, so first it was like hip hop. I got a lot of my first music from my older cousin. She was, about 8 or 9 years older than me. She grew up in the 90s listening to like Nirvana, No Doubt, but also Nas and Dr. Dre and Tupac and all that.
Yeah.
So I got all her hand-me-down CDs, and that was
Nice.
like my intro to music was all these like 90s artists. So Yeah, it was like 90s gangster rap, and then a little bit of like alternative, Smashing Pumpkins,
Oh, fuck yeah.
Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, that stuff. And then around junior high, I met some like punk kids in my junior high, and they started showing me the Ramones and Sex Pistols and like all this other stuff that was like polar opposite of what I've been listening to.
Right.
And I gravitated towards it because a lot of it was easy to learn how to play.
Punk is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
gateway.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the gateway music for sure,
Yeah, like-
especially for musicians, I think.
Absolutely.
And guitars, like, I mean, you just crank them up with an amp, like distortion, and
Well,
it sounds so
power
good.
chords.
Cut your teeth
Oh,
on those
yeah.
power chords. Yeah.
Yeah. Love a
Yeah.
power chord.
So
I
I
love it.
was
I love a
like-
G5.
Exactly. So yeah, I like gravitated towards Ramones, and they were like my favorite band because I could play all their songs.
It's so melodic
Yeah.
too. You know?
Yeah.
Also, have you seen Rock and Roll High School?
Oh,
the best
yeah.
movie of all time. Do your parents know you're a Ramone?
I just found the CD for that movie.
Nice.
Oh,
At
what?
Goodwill. Yeah.
Oh, at Goodwill?
Yeah,
Yes.
Goodwill, like a couple
Dude,
weeks ago.
Goodwill CD section, so rich because like nobody buys CDs anymore.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's been like my guilty pleasure the last few years. Is
Yeah.
just collecting CDs.
Well, if
from
you're lucky
Goodwill.
enough to like still have a CD player, you know, like because they don't even make cars. Like cars don't even have CD players anymore.
No.
It's
Yeah.
wild.
Shout out to old cars.
So okay, sorry. So the Ramones became your favorite band, and you were like getting into punk.
Yeah, were you playing? So there's the new punk friends you made. Like, were you playing guitar with them? or was
No, funny enough, they didn't even know how to play anything.
I love
but
it.
they just dressed
fashion, yeah.
super punk.
They
Yeah,
just had the
yeah.
they
They
had
had
the subculture going.
yeah, you know, like the Liberty Spikes
Oh.
and like Little
Yep.
Jacket.
Yeah.
So what
and-
gave you like the courage to get a guitar and to learn?
Well, my dad was really into music. My dad was a DJ.
Oh,
so
sweet. Oh,
I grew up
cool.
around music since I was like a baby.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And so music was always a part of me. And I think from like watching my dad make music, because my dad would record, like he had a little drum machine that he would record stuff, and like he
That's
would
very
like
cool.
kind of remix his vinyl records,
Yeah.
you know, and it was like early computer recordings.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very
You know,
cool.
and so I
Yeah.
saw
Yeah.
that, and I was like, okay, and you know, like, and my dad could play guitar a little bit. He
Mm-hmm.
could play a few songs, and so just seeing that, and like I have an uncle that was a professional musician, but he was like more in like the Latin world. He's a percussionist,
Right.
Oh, nice.
and so I saw, okay, I got musicians in my family, like I could do this too.
Well, also like
Yeah.
that
You
the
know?
idea that could be a job.
yeah,
totally.
possibilities,
Because
man.
like in my upbringing, like musician was not a viable career choice.
Oh, okay.
It was like, yeah, that's something you do for fun.
Yeah, I had spent like a couple of weeks with my uncle. I stayed with him for like 2 weeks during the summer, and he took me to all his gigs and rehearsals. And that was like the first time
So
I've ever seen any
cool.
of that.
And
So
how old
fun.
were you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like 11.
Oh, that's
man.
so
when
cool.
he showed me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so first thing he did was like he took me to the shoe store. He told me I had to have clean shoes. That was the first thing anyone was gonna look at.
Absolutely.
So he bought me all white, like real nice tennis shoes.
That's so amazing.
And then
Nice.
second
Oh my
thing,
God.
I had to get a nice haircut.
Yeah.
Oh, I
So
love
he-
your family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so got me a nice haircut, clean shoes.
He's like, I'm not taking you to rehearsal looking all shabby.
Exactly. And I had my church clothes on me.
Yeah,
And so,
you did.
you know, so he was just like, the first thing is you got to look presentable. Like,
Yeah.
you got to look professional.
Wow.
I'm not taking you in front of my friends looking like
Yeah, rehearsal, everything. So that was like one of the first things I remember. And I was like, okay, this is different.
I love it.
And and then he took me to all his rehearsals, took me to all his gigs. And, you know, this was like mid late 90s. And so, you know, he was doing a lot of like jazz clubs. And
Yeah,
like, you
that
know,
Cool.
right.
that kind of stuff. And so that was like, it was a whole new world for me. And I went home that summer being like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like, I don't know
Wow.
what I'm gonna play, but you know, I wasn't really good. Like he tried to teach me how to play bongos and conga and all that.
Oh,
and
I'm
I was
a
not
shit
good at all.
percussionist.
I was so bad.
Yeah.
And so the guitar was like, okay, I could relate to that.
Yeah.
I could relate to that.
Often what draws one to the guitar is maybe the desire to compose. So do you feel like that was part of your choice in wanting to play guitar, or were you just like, this is what people do, they play guitar?
I think at the time I just thought it was so cool
Yeah.
to play guitar.
I mean, it is cool.
like I don't
Especially
even
with
think
a bat guitar.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
come
right.
on now.
yeah, totally. Like I don't even think my mind was on like writing or even
Yeah.
like playing anything of my
Yeah.
own. It was more just like I want to be a guitar player.
Right.
Yeah.
I originally wanted to be a drummer, but my dad was like, "Nah,
You're
you're not getting a drum."
Dude,
Yeah. That's too loud.
No,
So
your
loud,
parents are
yeah.
like, oh, we can't do that. We can't deal with you learning to play
No,
drums.
no, my dad wouldn't.
Fair.
Yeah,
I mean, I feel like I kind of feel for like any parent whose like sixth grader joins like the school band and they have to like listen to them like learn to play the
Oh,
French
exactly.
horn. Yeah.
And I know I put him through hell when I got that guitar because I was like full distortion.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
turn it way up. Yeah.
I didn't even have a tuner.
Yeah.
Who
Awful.
needs one? It's
Awful.
fun.
Yeah. Right. Like tuning's for sissies, right? Yeah. Oh my
But yeah.
gosh.
We were chatting the other day, and you said that you found some of those old recordings
I did.
at your parents' house.
Yeah, I was on my dad. He keeps all the hard drives from any computer
God
we've
bless
ever
your
had.
dad.
No, I do
Yeah.
too.
And,
But yeah,
and I had
Yeah.
no idea that he had all these hard drives. So I was just over there like a couple of weeks ago, and he like opened up this box, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I kept all the hard drives from every computer we've had." My dad's like computer whiz.
Wow.
Like
That's amazing.
he's been building computers since like the 80s.
So
Oh,
he's
damn.
like, here's everything you've ever done on a
Yeah, yeah.
computer.
Yeah,
Man.
well, actually, my first computer, my hard drive, got destroyed somehow, and so I lost anything that I had made from like 14 to 18. I lost.
No.
Oh,
So
much
tragic.
gold in there, I bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Tragic.
hoping to find.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
lost
man.
all of that.
Tragic.
So
Yeah.
the hard drive that I found was like from 18 to 21 or 22.
I mean, that's still pretty good.
It's
Yeah.
still great.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
And it had a lot of the recordings from that first computer.
Mm-hmm.
It had a lot of those on it. I just didn't have like any of the old sessions, and there was like tons of music I never bounced out.
Yeah.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, that's like, well, it's like before we knew you had to back up in 3 places.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
before
No, yeah.
Dropbox.
But we thought
Or-
that lacy 2 gig drive would last a lifetime. And
2 gigs.
They
yeah.
do
They
not.
lied to us.
A producer I worked with has actually opened up one of those lacy hard drives to like get it to
What?
work because it was like an emergency situation.
What was
and
inside of it? Saltines. Like
yeah,
it's-
basically.
yeah.
Well, no, like I guess there are like some moving parts. Anyway, I was like, I can't believe you even attempted that. But he was like, well, it
Yeah,
was,
we needed what was on
It
there.
was do or
Yeah.
die. Yeah, it was do or die. So he just like opened it up and like, I don't know.
There's a little hamster in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, just running.
Yeah.
Am I
He
done?
he put a new hamster in there and closed it. Yeah.
And it works.
Was there like something that was kind of like an aha moment or like something that made you feel more invested in it?
My dad finally like signed me up for 1 month of lessons,
Oh, cool.
and it was at Guitar Center.
Yes,
Guitar Center
we
in
talk about
Brea.
Guitar
Shout
Center a
out
lot.
Guitar Center. Yes.
Guitar Center in Brea. They had like a
Nice.
little
Nice.
guitar lessons, section or whatever.
That's
and
so cool.
So, I had been like asking my dad, to sign me up for lessons, and lessons is it's not cheap.
Yeah. They
You
were.
know?
I mean, even in my hometown, which I'm like from like small town Virginia,
Yeah.
like I remember them like they felt very spendy.
Well, especially Guitar Center, like, is probably pretty legit in terms of who they get. They vet them and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just like getting someone off like a lamppost, like
Yeah,
where you
right.
get like the paper,
flyer, yeah.
the flyer,
Yeah.
The little
you know?
tear off phone
Yeah.
number. Yeah.
Yeah, dude was legit.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so my dad signed me up for a month. I got 4 lessons out of it. And I kept every single, every worksheet that he gave me. And that's pretty much where I learned how to play chords, and I learned scales.
Nice.
So he did
That's
teach you
great.
scales.
Yeah, so he taught me the major minor scale and then like classic pentatonic scale.
And with scales comes soloing.
Yeah, and that was
Right.
what basically like opened up the gates
Wow.
for me.
Yeah.
So when I learned the chords and scales, now I knew how to just improvise over stuff. And so that was like more exciting to me than actually playing the actual song.
That's dope.
Interesting.
It's so true. Yeah, because it's just like replicating a song versus like that's where like the songwriting process starts, where you're like, I'm inventing a new version of this song. Yeah.
That was more exciting to me, to be able to like
Yeah.
be like, oh, I'm actually playing along with them.
Yeah, like, I'm
You
part of the
know,
band
I
now.
can play whatever I want. Like it's in the same key. It's
That's
awesome.
so cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So when did lyrics start coming into the picture?
Lyrics didn't happen till years later.
Wow.
Years later. I mean, lyrics that actually had any meaning. For
Interesting,
sure.
yeah.
It was. I'd gone through years of just fiddling with different instruments. You know, I started with the guitar, and then I wanted to play in the church band.
Yeah.
And they had like an opening for musicians, and I showed up with my guitar. And they said, "Oh, we actually already have a guitar player, but we need a bass player."
I knew you were going to say that.
And I was super bummed,
Yeah.
but I just wanted to be part of it. So I was like, I could play bass.
Yeah, how
Yeah.
literally everyone
That
started
was my
playing
story
bass.
too.
Yeah.
Wanted to play at church, and they're like, "We need a bass player." I'm like, "Okay,
Exactly.
done."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the worship leader, he had like an extra bass, like an old Squire, and he was like, "Cool, you can use this. Like you could take it home to practice on." Da, da, da. And so for a few months, I just started playing bass. I was playing bass in the band and started figuring out the bass and learning that, oh wow, this is actually really fun. Like, this is way different than the guitar. And so I started playing bass, and then maybe when I was like 18 years old, I started listening to a lot more electronic music. By 18, like I was listening to The Faint.
Oh,
I loved
nice.
The
To
Faint.
the Postal Service.
Yes.
Fisher Spooner.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
And so I asked my dad to get me a microcorg.
Yeah.
I have
Sweet.
one.
Yeah.
That was the gateway
Yeah.
drug.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
And I think the
microcords are
microcorg
sweet.
had just come out, or it just came out like maybe a year or two before that. It was still pretty new.
Yeah.
And so we went to Guitar Center, and I showed my dad what it can do, and my dad was like, "All right, I got you."
Yeah.
And so he bought me the microcorg, and then that kind of changed my whole direction. I got heavy into electronic music, and my dad gave me his old drum machine, and so I started learning how to program the drum machine.
What drum machine was it?
It was a Boss DDR 770.
Nice.
Yeah, I had that same
Those
one.
are great,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
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 The
See,
little guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little one. Yeah. I
I
still
just,
have it.
I love the
Same.
supportive parent story, though. That's so good. That your
Yeah.
dad was like, "Yeah, let's like whatever."
Yeah.
you
Oh, he
know.
was hyped.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
he wanted
He was
to
hyped.
get him the best guitars
I
from
know.
the start.
Yeah,
you
your
know?
dad was like, "What if I got you a really good
Yeah.
guitar?"
Yeah.
So at that point, my dad was super hyped because now I was playing more stuff that he could relate to.
Yeah.
More DJ music, Now I was playing like new wave stuff. and
Yeah.
stuff that, that I had learned from his records. I wasn't really listening so much to the hip hop stuff or the punk stuff. Now I was like listening to Yaz and, just old like new wave stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I did that for a few years, and then around 19 or 20, I was hanging out with a bunch of musician kids that were like super into like 60s, 70s music. It was like this whole scene out of Orange County, and they were all into like vintage guitars and drums, vintage keyboards, all that kinds of stuff. And I went to jam one day at this lockout with a bunch of guys, and they had like an electric piano and like a B3 organ
Wow.
and like a bunch of like cool vintage stuff
Yeah.
that I had never even messed with. And that kind of changed my life.
Yeah.
Like after like jamming with those guys and hearing the sounds and hearing like what they were influenced by, like King Crimson
Yeah.
and the Beatles and Pink Floyd and all that stuff. And I was like more into like the modern electronic stuff. It kind of changed my whole direction. And then I went like 2 or 3 years of only playing vintage keyboard stuff. So just like
Just went
I went
analog.
to the basics, like just
Yeah.
piano, electric piano, organ, mellotron, like obsessed with
God,
those sounds. And it
love
kind
the
of just
mellotron.
changed my whole direction and taste in music, and kind of opened up like my musical palette.
Yeah. I bet.
What were those guys like? Are they playing music still?
Oh yeah, I mean, one of them, you probably know them. They were the Living Sons.
Oh yeah,
Living
yeah.
Sons.
Who did you jam with from? Lucas?
Lucas, yeah.
Yeah.
Lucas. Me and Lucas were in a band in high school.
Oh, nice.
He was my bass player.
Oh,
I love
awesome.
Lucas. Shout out to Lucas Drake
Oh,
and
big
Dogga
time.
Bloom.
Dogga Bloom.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Wow.
What was that? I just posted a video. We recorded them like 10 years ago in my studio
really?
in Orange County. Yeah.
Yeah, he was like a
Hey.
big brother to me.
Yeah.
Big influence. Like, yeah, I owe a lot of my musical taste to him. For
Yeah, he
sure.
was like the
showed
coolest
me.
one in the circle.
Oh yeah.
I love
For
that. I love the kind of like you have these like sort of influencer touchstones in your life, like the older cousin and
Yeah.
this guy Lucas.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think like everybody kind of has those people in their life that sort of, either on purpose or not, like
Yeah,
kinda showed
totally.
them the way.
Yeah. Well, they're
Big
like
time.
they're like
or just showed you things that
boosters and-
resonated with you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
absolutely.
It's like in Mario Kart where you get like a booster and you speed up. And stuff, speeds you along.
Well,
Yeah.
I also had an older cousin who definitely sent some music my way, and,
Oh, yeah.
and some of it is like truly my favorite stuff
yeah.
even now.
Yeah. What was your band with Lucas in high school?
It was called Centipede.
Centipede.
Love
I
it.
don't think I ever heard
What
any
kind
of
of
that
what kind of
stuff.
music?
It was like electro pop. It
Was that with the back guitar?
Yeah, I think so.
Nice.
No. I had an
Aw.
Ibanez. I had an
Nice.
Ibanez. at
Those
that
are cool
point.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, a back guitar is dope. Though.
I know. I kind of want a back guitar.
Yeah.
So I had gone like a few years without playing, and then all of a sudden, I wanted to play music again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started looking on Craigslist, and
Yeah.
and I just started joining bands that needed musicians. And the first band that I joined, they were called The Frequency. And I was still living in Orange County. I think I was 20 or 21 years old, and I was working as a special ed instructor.
Oh, wow.
For Fullerton High School.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And or Troy High School, sorry, Fullerton School District. And so I had this like itch. I wanted to start playing music again, and I was seeing a lot of my friends that were coming up, and they were going off and touring and doing awesome stuff. At this time, like I lived in Fullerton, and I had this really cool like old craftsman style house I was renting out.
Neat.
And there was a lot of musicians coming in and out because we just threw parties every weekend.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
house,
It was that
right?
house.
Great way to meet
right?
people.
So I had bands like the Growlers,
Wow.
Local
Yeah.
Natives,
Yeah.
the Living
we know them.
Sons,
Yeah.
Now Dog of Bloom.
Yeah.
All those guys were coming in and
Yeah.
out, and so I was like really inspired by these bands, and I wanted to play in a band myself, but it was too hard to start my own band, and I still wasn't that good at songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just join a band, and I found this band on Craigslist, and they had been like going for, I don't know, like 10 years prior.
Oh, wow.
They were all like in their like mid 30s,
Oh wow.
and I was like
And you were
21.
just like the fresh blood.
Yeah. And they were looking for a bass player, and so I
Perfect.
joined.
Good thing I learned at the church.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
For real.
Came in handy.
Yeah, so I joined them, and I played with them for like maybe 6 months to a year. Played a couple shows and got my first taste of tour. We went and did Psych Fest in Austin, Texas.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
and
legit.
We played Quebec City Music Fest.
Nice.
Yeah.
They were like a psychedelic band, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you know them?
No, just I know this festivals.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I got a little taste of tour, and then the band broke up.
Aw.
Oh no.
They broke up. They just stopped playing. They stopped touring, and then eventually broke up.
Yeah.
And so after that, I was just like, I
Oh, you were
want
on
to
fire.
tour.
You're like,
yeah,
all right, I gotta-
like this is dope. Like I can do this. Like, and so got back on Craigslist.
Mhm.
At this time, I was 20, just turned 23. I had moved to LA. I moved in with some friends I had met through MySpace.
Nice. Nice.
Through mutual friends.
Yeah.
And I had moved in with them, and maybe 2 weeks after moving in, I got a gig to play keyboards for a band named Kitten.
Mm.
Oh,
yeah, I
Kitten.
remember Kitten.
Oh,
Yeah,
shit.
in the band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I remember them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't the singer like 15 years old or something? Yeah.
Chloe
Yeah.
Chides.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I auditioned for them, learned all their songs. I brought my microcord,
Sweet.
the whole thing.
Hell yeah.
And then immediately started playing and touring with them. Yeah, we had 2 weeks in London doing like small showcases.
Cool.
And then we did what's the South by Southwest of the East Coast?
Which
it's
one?
the film one.
Oh,
CMJ.
CMJ.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing
Oh my
CMJ
God,
as well.
yes.
And I ended up playing with them for like maybe a year or something. And we ended up going on tour with a band called Young the Giant.
Yeah.
Oh,
Those
yeah,
guys.
we've heard of them.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Shout
we were opening
Shout
for
out
them.
Young the Giant.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and that's how I met Eric and all the
Yeah.
boys. And
Yeah.
on that tour, me and Eric got real close. And
That's cool.
yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah.
And they were actually the ones that encouraged me to start writing music on my own.
Hell yeah.
Cool.
And I was doing remixes as well. I had remixed Kitten's
Oh,
record
cool.
that they were working on. At that point, I had to solidify this band
Right,
or this
your
new
band,
project,
yeah.
and it was called Tapioca and the Flea.
Yeah.
And that was like the beginning of it.
Yeah, so now I think we're up to date to Sam becoming the songwriter. First forays in songs. So is now a good time to introduce the song that you
Yeah,
brought
for
in?
sure. The song is called Home. And yeah, this song I wrote literally after that Young the Giant tour I had done. I came home and just missed being home. It was the first time I'd actually gone on like a tour that length. I think we were out for like, I don't know, a month and a half or something.
That's a long
That's a
time.
good
when you're on
long
tour.
You know,
time.
for me, it was
Yeah.
like, I felt like it was like an eternity.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially like if you're not in one place, you're like hopping around, and like, yeah, it's nice to have somebody else making your bed, but like, yeah, I bet you were like just
Yeah.
feeling untethered.
And then Sam, you're saying this was like the first song that you completed that actually the words meant
That
something
actually meant
to you.
something, yeah. You know, before this, like I said, like I just kind of just made beats and instrumentals and stuff, and this was the first song that actually from beginning to end actually had a meaning, and it surprisingly came really easy. You know, in the past I'd always tried so hard to write songs,
Yeah.
and then they'd always just end up falling short. And this one, it was literally the day after I came home. I was just sitting at my computer, and I think I had the instrumental already, but I hadn't written any lyrics over it. And then I just started like kind of freestyling and wrote it in like, I don't know, a couple hours maybe.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just comes to you.
But it's
Like-
funny, I never expected it to be like such a popular song, you know?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I think there's something to be said for that organic kind of flow state thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm sure there's plenty
It
of
connects.
very popular
Yeah.
songs that were a struggle to write, but you hear that a lot with a lot of popular songs where people say, you know, it kind of just came to me in 20 minutes. I think it's like, yeah, there's just something about like something you're just feeling so sincerely in your heart, you know?
Yeah.
That it's just there. It just
like tapped
springs from
in.
your head, fully grown like Athena.
Yeah. I feel like the best songs come effortlessly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
It's-
where you don't overthink it. It's just like
yeah, you're
It's
truly
because they're
just speaking your
authentic.
mind.
Yeah.
You know?
pours out of you.
Yeah.
So let's hear it.
Okay. All right. See if I remember. This is my goodbye for now. I think it's time I let you go. Though my stomach's inside out, I'll wrap it up so you won't know. I've been waiting, feeling lost, hoping that you'd call me soon. Now you found a better soul, and now you're singing to his tune. Oh, I wanna go back home. Been away so long. Oh, I wanna go back home. I swear I won't do you wrong. Oh, I wanna go back home. I'm coming home. How did I let you slip out my fingers? We would have laughs for days.
now I can't breathe and the pain always lingers. Maybe I'll change my ways. I never realize what I've got until it's far away. I never realize what I've got until it's far away. Oh, I wanna go back home. Been away so long. Oh, I wanna go back home. I swear I won't do you wrong. Oh, I wanna go back home. I'm coming home.
Yes, just as I remembered.
Oh man, I love
I
it.
love your voice, man.
Thanks,
Yes,
man.
so good.
Was that the first time you were really kind of like putting yourself out there as a singer?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, some of the folks we've talked to who are like kind of primarily guitar players, they're like, oh no, I don't sing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I never sing. And yeah, so you just were like, okay, I guess I'm a singer now.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I'd always been like pretty self-conscious about my voice. Shout out Lucas Drake. He was actually the first one to tell me, "Hey, bro, I think you should stick with guitar." Yeah, my voice was awful.
That is not what I thought you were gonna say.
Yeah,
know, man.
and at the time I was pretty salty about it. Like, what?
You're like, hey,
You know, because I had been trying to like be a front man in these different bands, and it just never worked. And I never could find my voice. And I remember him telling me like, "Yo, like you're really good at guitar keys. Like focus on that. Like don't do the singing stuff."
Isn't that funny?
You
Like
know?
solid advice, but it's like so hard to hear.
Yeah,
at the time.
at the time my ego was like, "What?"
Yeah.
yeah, your ego doesn't
You
want to
know?
hear that.
But it was probably the best thing he could have told me because I was always aware of it. And it wasn't until years later where it finally clicked in my head, like, just sing normal. Like,
Yeah.
just sing like how you would talk. Like, don't, you know. And my singing voice is very different than my normal voice, but it's natural when it comes out. I'm not trying to put on like a
Right.
tone or like
Yeah.
a character or anything.
And
Or-
I think earlier on you are kind of like maybe unconsciously, but yeah, you're like
Oh,
kind of trying to
yeah.
sound like somebody else you like.
Like
Totally.
mimicking stuff you love.
Yeah, you know, and like, you know, when I was first making music too, like that was like the age of like emo pop punk stuff, and you know, so you had all these dudes putting on these weird like pop punk accents.
Yeah, like
British.
like
You
almost
know?
a British accent. Yeah,
Yeah,
like,
so you know, I thought
Do
that like
you have
that
that time?
added, you know, added to my voice or whatever, putting on like this
Right.
character and
Yeah.
instead of just being me. So
Yeah.
right, and it's like that does work for some people. I mean, you know, John Fogerty made a career out of singing in an accent that he doesn't have, but like, I think that for most people that's probably not the answer. But no, like I love it. It's just like it was like you just finally felt that inspiration to like write this authentic feeling, and that just like that was like the vessel for your authentic voice to come forward. I think that's really kind of beautiful.
yeah,
That song brought Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
caught their
yeah.
attention.
yeah.
You recorded it and started a Sonic Bids profile with it.
Yeah. So shortly after making the name, I made a MySpace, or maybe I just changed my MySpace.
I mean,
can't
but-
That is the
remember.
official back then. That's what you
Truly,
did,
though,
man.
crucial.
You had a band.
If you had a
made
band-
a
Yeah.
MySpace profile,
And
Yeah.
you customize it all
and you
nice.
get like a profile pic, and then you're just like you're going.
Yeah,
Get
you
your
know?
top
totally.
8.
That's it.
Totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made the MySpace, and then I remember just discovering Sonic Bids. I don't even know where. Maybe it was a MySpace ad or something.
Yeah.
And I ended up signing up for a Sonic Bids account, and then I just signed up for like any program that was on there, anything that was free.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it you had to pay, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And so-
you'd set up like an EPK, and then you could just
Yeah.
like submit.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Honestly,
which is pretty dope.
I
like-
kind of spent a lot of money on Sonic Bids.
I mean, I think I spent a little bit at first, But I was quick to realize, like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's like $5 to $20 every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It adds up, yeah.
And I remember from like an early age, I forget who told me, but I remember someone like warned me about like pay to play type stuff.
Yeah.
Oh man.
You know, so I always had that in the back of my mind. Like, if I got to pay for an opportunity, it's probably not really an opportunity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody's making money off it.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not you.
Yeah, it's certainly not.
Yeah.
No, the internet is full of ways to nickel and dime independent musician stuff. Yeah.
They're good at it.
I discovered that
Yeah.
the hard
Yeah.
way.
So you're submitting to like anything that popped up.
Yeah, so I just submitted to a bunch of stuff, and then I got an email from Red Bull one day.
Yeah.
And they had like just created this like music platform, and it was very similar to MySpace, where you just make an account, you could upload your music. I think it was called Red Bull Soundstage at the time. Maybe not, I don't know. And yeah, I just submitted, signed up, and I think anyone could have signed up, and I like immediately got an account. And at the time, you know, Red Bull wasn't really known for anything. It was just like a, you know, drink company.
They only
it
had
just-
one flavor.
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
that blue can, not even sugar free.
Yeah. And so I remember thinking like, oh, this is kind of weird, like Red Bull.
Yeah,
you
what are
know?
they doing?
Our audience member is gonna be like jacked, like just like yeah, everyone's freaking Red Bull, like you know, yeah,
Yeah,
But
so-
they turned out to be pretty amazing, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, fast forward, I ended up getting an email from one of their reps. They had a showcase at like one of these music festivals. I think it was Jubilee or Sunset Junction.
Silver Lake
Sunset
Jubilee?
Junction.
Oh, I
That's
remember
the name of
Sunset
it.
Junction.
Sunset
Yeah.
Junction.
Both sadly.
Echo Park
Yeah, R.I.P.
Rising was another
Echo
one.
Park. Maybe it was Echo Park
Yeah, yeah,
Rising.
yeah,
It
yeah.
was. We ended up performing at the Tax Lounge.
Oh,
Yeah, that's Echo
Yeah.
Park
That-
Rising.
It probably
French
was Echo Park.
restaurant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Oh wait, no, that was
That's
yeah.
right by the Echo.
Yeah, that's Echo
That was
Park
part of the
Rising.
street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And they, you know, FYF.
Started there. Yeah.
Was sort of the progenitor of Echo Park Rising, and it was called Fuck Yeah Fest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like the exact same thing that Echo Park
That was like
Rising
mid
became.
2000s. Yeah,
But it's, you know, sadly all these things that are sort of either defunct or like haven't happened in a couple years. But anyway, so they had this showcase stage.
Yeah, so they had this showcase, and one of their bands had dropped out last minute. It was like a few days before the show. And so they had emailed us, and I guess someone from Red Bull had saw my profile, saw the music, or heard the music, and reached out and was like, hey, can you guys play the show? And, you know, it was like, you know, opening slot, like 3 p.m. or something like that. And at the time, I was like, yeah, for sure, you know, like, because I hadn't really been playing any like legitimate shows. Everything I'd been playing was like Silver Lake Lounge,
Yeah.
you know, like small scale stuff. And I was just kind of building my fan base and stuff like that. So I had just gotten a band together with all my roommates that I was living with at the time. And so we ended up showing up, played the show, and brought like a decent sized crowd. Like brought all of our friends, all my bandmates' girlfriends showed up. They brought all their girlfriends, and so it was like a decent sized crowd.
That's awesome.
Played really well, and after that, they reached out to us like super thankful, like you guys, like so thankful that we were able to play last minute and that we actually brought people. And so they sent us an email thanking us and said that they would consider us for any showcases that come up in the future.
Nice.
And so we were like,
So
yeah,
cool.
cool. Like, hopefully Red Bull does some more stuff.
Yeah.
And it was maybe like a month or two after that, we got another email from another rep from Red Bull that was part of this new program called the Red Bull Sound Select.
Yeah.
And so he had emailed us and basically mentioned he wanted to sit down and talk with us about this new program that they were developing to help artists achieve their dreams.
That's amazing.
You know, it's like pretty vague,
Yeah.
but you know, he was like free dinner, and so we're like, okay, cool.
Okay, like you're
let's
paying
do
for
it.
dinner? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
hear
such a
more
rad
about
feeling,
this,
though.
Yeah.
When you're a band, you get offered a free dinner, you're like, yes.
Oh yeah.
That's a rock star.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Rockstar moves, yeah.
Shit, we've
Absolutely.
made it.
Yeah.
And so we end up meeting up with this dude, me and my bass player at the time, Frank Alva. Shout out Frank.
Yo, Frankie.
And so we showed up and we sit down with him, and he basically lays out this whole like marketing plan, and he explains that Red Bull wants to change the music industry, and what they want to do is they want to help bands. They want to help develop bands from nothing to like a nationwide act. And in doing so, they had a budget of $100,000.
That's amazing.
That is insane.
Just for you guys?
Just for
Like,
us.
Just for
Yeah.
Tapioca and the Flea. Wow.
And so they
Oh
were
my
going
God.
to essentially sponsor 5 bands from 5 major cities. It was Los Angeles, Miami, Austin, Portland or Seattle, and New York.
Nice.
And you were the
and
LA
we were the
band.
LA band.
Were you like, were you like, are you gonna steal my kidney? Like $100,000?
Yeah.
What?
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right.
like we were like, okay, what's the catch? Like, is this like, is just some kind of like record label thing? You
Sure.
know, like, are we
Recoup.
going to be in debt to you? And he was like, there is no catch. He's like, the only thing that we want in return is rights to licensing. And we want anything that we help facilitate, like any content we help create, video, audio, photos, we just want the rights to be able to use it for social media or for marketing.
And then
Crazy.
everything else you own.
Yeah. And
That's
so we own
amazing.
100% publishing,
Oh, wow.
100% licensing, and
That's brilliant, man.
mastering, everything. And at any point, if we decided that we didn't want to be a part of it anymore, we could walk away and keep everything.
That
We
sounds
didn't
like a
owe them
dream.
anything.
Yeah.
It was insane.
Yeah.
That really is amazing.
It sounds
so-
like Red Bull literally gave you wings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
yeah,
I've
we
heard they do that.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing.
Yeah, so we left that meeting like, this is crazy. Like, how is this possible? And I ended up meeting with a lawyer and going over the contracts with a lawyer.
That was probably smart.
Yeah, he was a very
That's
legit
wise.
lawyer.
Yeah.
He looked over the contract and he was like, "This is unheard of. This
Yeah.
is I've never
So
seen in all my
cool.
years of business. I've never seen a contract like this." He was like, "You need to jump on this and take advantage of it because
Before they
you'll
realize
never
what
see
to
this
do."
again."
Yeah, before they change
Yeah.
their minds.
Yeah.
You're
And
like,
at this
okay.
time, like I knew nothing about music business.
Yeah.
I didn't know what publishing was. Like I didn't know the difference of anything.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
clueless. And so all I knew was $100,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, they had like the whole like plan. It was like a year course of what they were going to do, starting with a single release, then a music video, then a showcase, and then tour support. And then they wanted to put us on tour with like a big band opening up, right? And so the first thing was we're going to put you in a studio and create a single that we can start marketing. And so they asked me for a list of my 5 top favorite music producers.
Wow.
And so I sent them a list.
So wild.
They really were trying to change the music industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like doing
Shout out
everything
to
right for the
them.
first time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Take
Well,
notes.
What? Yeah.
What's crazy is their budget was coming from marketing money.
Yeah.
And since the company, I believe they don't have stockholders or something like that.
Oh.
So there's like some weird loophole where they can use
Oh, they're not publicly traded, probably.
something like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So they had like insane marketing. I mean, you've seen the stuff that Red Bull does.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like the
like music aside, like skateboarding and
Yeah.
snowboarding, skydiving, like they do
blue tug,
crazy
all
shit.
that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And so this was like, they wanted to start venturing into music. So I sent them a list of producers, all my favorite producers, and one of the producers on that list was Crystal Castles.
Yeah.
An artist I loved in high school. When I was going through my electronic phase with the Faint and all that, Crystal Castles was like up there.
Yeah.
And so they reached out to him, and he actually had heard my music before.
Yeah?
Somehow had heard Home. You know what, actually, so I forgot to mention this. I had done a radio campaign. Totally forgot about this. I had done a brief radio campaign with I had a manager for like a quick minute. His name was Pat Mundy. He was our sound guy. He started as our sound guy. Incredible sound guy. Incredible mixer. He did like Coachella stages and stuff
wow.
like that. And he wanted to manage Tapioca and the Flea like early on. And so he worked with us on like a radio campaign, like super independent. helped mix the first Tapioca and the Flea EP. So that's probably one of the
that's
versions
so
of
cool.
Home that you heard.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that
There's
with
a
a
couple
drum
out there.
machine or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was like just independently released. We did like a campaign with this company called Substance.
Oh, I used them.
You did? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so pressed like a couple hundred CDs and did the whole campaign. And it actually
physically mailed them
physically mailed
to a bunch of
Yeah,
college
yeah.
radio stations.
Yeah, wrote
That's
the
so
thank you
amazing.
cards,
I
the whole
remember
bit.
that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I did
That's
that
the
too.
game.
Yeah.
That's
I
worth
spent, like,
it though.
$500 on postage.
Yeah. So those songs were out there floating, and just so happened that Ethan Kath from Crystal Castles had heard one of the songs at a music festival in South America, like Brazil or something.
Cool.
He later told me this story. And he had Shazammed one of the songs, and it was, I believe it was Home. He
That's
Shazammed it and
amazing.
saved it on his phone, right?
That's insane.
And
I
so-
know, right?
So it was playing in the background at a music festival.
And he was like, "Oh, what's
And then
this?"
He
mid-
Shazammed it.
Mid-conversation.
Yeah.
And it's great that it was in the database to be Shazammed. You know?
Exactly.
Like, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah,
All
right.
the
That was
stars lining up.
that was one of the points that this manager had made. Like, make sure we
That
have it on
shit is
Shazam.
So
Shazammable.
Yeah.
smart.
Because at that
That's-
time, that's how I discovered a lot of music.
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Shazamming it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so he later ended up telling me, like, yeah, I heard the song and I thought your voice was so unique, I had to Shazam it. And so when Red Bull reached out to him, he had recognized the name.
Wow.
He was like, Tapioca and Flea, where I know that? And he said he looked at his Shazam. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Amazing.
And so he agreed to work with us on this single. And it just so happened to be right as he was taking a break from touring from like 6 years straight.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, the divine,
man.
all of the divine choreography at play in your
Right.
life is just,
Yeah.
I mean, this story is a little
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
mind-blowing.
perfect timing. So they ended up putting us in the studio in Santa Monica, Red Bull's own recording studio. And we spent like a few days there just hashing out the song. He picked a song out of like, I don't know, like 9 demos I had self-recorded. And he picked one of them called Take It Slow.
Yeah, I remember that song.
Yeah.
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 And and we just hashed it out. And in that time period, me and him, like we broed out. Like we got along
That's
really
so
well.
awesome.
That's awesome.
And we kept in contact after that. I ended up later on working on his record.
Oh,
His
Sweet.
last
Cool.
record.
oh, so
Nice.
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so, so put out this song, and then Red Bull was like, okay, now you have a single, you need a music video. Give us a list of 5 of your favorite music video directors.
Stop
Dreams.
it.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so, of course, I put like some ridiculous list. Like,
You're like,
Yeah, yeah.
David,
Michelle Gondry.
David
Yes.
Fisher.
Like, because I was like, shit, well, they can get Crystal
Yeah.
Castles, they can
Yeah.
get anybody.
Yeah.
And on that list of people, I had put Daniel Iglesias Jr. He had done all of the Neighborhoods videos at that time. And the Neighborhood was like, at that moment, the Neighborhood was like popping. They were
Yeah,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
yeah.
really big. Sweater Weather had
Sweater
just come
Weather,
out.
yeah.
like- and so they reached out to him, and he was one of the 5 that was like, yeah, I'm down. And so we ended up filming the music video all in one day in like Sherman Oaks, I think, in this house. And again, me and him just broed out.
That's so
And,
cool.
he still to this day, he's one of my dearest friends. Like,
So cool.
yeah, he was a big help with us in the beginning, and had a really cool vision for the song and really cool music video. And so now we had a single, music video, and we were on course. And that was like 3.5 years of just incredible opportunity, one after another with them. They started putting us opening for different bands. That's when they first started doing the Red Bull Sound Select shows. This was before they did the festival, so it was just like
Yeah.
random one-offs here and there.
Right.
And they put us opening for Flume one
Oh,
night,
wow.
which was really
Yeah.
cool. And that was like right when Flume's first record or EP just came
Yeah,
out.
EP. That thing was
And
awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like mind blowing.
Yep.
And he had performed at the Echoplex and then did an after or a secret show the day after at the Echo,
Oh, wow.
and we were the openers.
Oh,
nice.
cool.
Yeah, and of course it was like packed, sold out.
Yeah.
And after that show, we had made friends with the dude that was booking. I can't remember his name. He was a really, really great dude, real nice. And he would call us up any show that they had, we were like the first person he would
That's
call
awesome.
up.
Such a great
Because we just had
connect.
like such a good relationship with him. We were super easy to work with, and
Yeah,
You
that
know.
counts for a lot.
yeah,
It's
and
like there's a lot of good bands who are dicks.
absolutely.
You know?
Here's another thing that was incredible. They were actually paying the bands as well,
Wow.
which
wow.
is
What?
insane.
What?
That's the unheard of thing.
That
Yeah.
exactly.
You didn't have to-
and that's why
Truly.
we were so grateful to them.
Yeah.
Our first show, they paid us $1,000.
That's great.
Jeez.
What?
That was for
Flea.
that 3 p.m. thing.
No, that one.
They still paid you for
Maybe
that,
a little
though.
less.
But that's
Dude,
cool that they still
uh,
paid you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, $1,000.
But the first like show, because that was
Gotcha.
like more like a showcase,
Sure.
festival thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the first show we did with Flume was $1,000, and they gave us a photo shoot that day of.
Wow.
So they hired a professional photographer, and we walked around Echo Park and did a whole photo shoot, and that was our promo photos for like the next year.
I mean,
Oh my gosh.
it's like, is it my birthday?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Huh?
We were tripping, man. But at the same time, we were still so young and new to all of it. And so it was like being signed to a record label, right?
Yeah.
Except you have no debt. But still, none of us had been signed to a record label. So we were just like taking it all in. Like, what?
Yeah.
Photo shoot? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
I mean, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. It's an incredible story. It's like, you're like literally a 1 in a million. Like,
Oh, yeah.
that-
Absolutely. I thank God, like, just for the experience alone. I mean,
Yeah.
it shaped me in so many ways.
Yeah. You said it was like a good 3 years with them, and like.
Yeah, so we did the single, we did the music video, we did a bunch of one-offs, and then they came back like the next year, and we're like, we want to help facilitate a whole EP. So we went again and gave them a list of our producers we wanted to work with, and on that list was producer RAC, Andre Anjos, and he was one of the 5 that was like, yeah, I'm down to work with these guys.
Yeah.
And so again, they now flew us out to Portland
Wow.
and put us in this badass Airbnb. We had a Mustang convertible as a rental.
Of course.
It's the total rock star
Yeah.
life.
It was
man.
insane.
I love it.
I remember we landed in Portland, and that night, their rep at the time, he had taken us to Whole Foods and bought us $700 worth of groceries.
Oh my
What?
god.
Just on the Red Bull
That
cart.
was just 3 coffees.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was like
bag of lettuce.
Yeah, it was like 2 bags of groceries, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
just laced up our kitchen, right, for
Yeah,
the whole
wow.
week. And we had this badass Airbnb. It was like 3-bedroom. At the time, the band was me, Ronnie, my guitar player, and Matt, the drummer. And our bass player, he had kind of fizzled out. He got like work opportunities, and he was making some serious money.
Oh wow.
And so the band kind of
Doing what? Like music stuff or?
No, he was working in retail.
Oh wow.
Working high up in retail, like
Nice.
working for some cool, big brands and stuff.
yeah,
Very
I mean,
cool.
it's kind of a tough place to be, like, when you're a musician, especially if you're like the bass player or like not, like not the songwriter. It's
Yeah,
kind of like,
totally.
can I really prioritize this over like the thing that's actually paying my bills?
Yeah, and at that time, like, we were getting all these opportunities, but we weren't getting paid.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Sure.
We all still had day jobs.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
barely paying bills.
So there was no hard feelings with the bassist, but like
No,
you guys were
absolutely
like
not.
Yeah, you're like, make
down
that
to
money,
a-
bro.
Yeah, and now you're down
Yeah.
to like a power trio kind of situation.
Yeah, well,
That's
at
dope.
this point, I had learned how to create backing tracks.
Mhm.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Right,
Yeah.
from the band Kitten, I had learned this from them
Oh,
because we were
cool.
using backing tracks in that band, and they were just doing backing tracks on a little iPod, like
Oh,
iPod
really?
Shuffle or
They
something.
were
That's
using
how
an
that's how it
iPod?
started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you use for that? Like, what was your DAW?
I was still using GarageBand.
GarageBand
Oh no,
is
actually
dope.
no, I take it back. I was using Ableton.
Ableton.
I started
amazing.
Ableton
Yes.
when I met Young the Giant. I just
Oh,
learned
cool.
Ableton.
Yeah, that's
that was-
perfect for backing
yeah.
tracks. Yeah.
Yeah. So once Frank dipped out, I learned that I can use a laptop to fill in the gap, and I learned how to use multiple outputs of my laptop.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
So now I had an interface that I can send a click out stereo left and right instead of just mono now,
Yeah.
and then
Level
bass.
Yeah.
And so I had recorded all the bass parts straight into the interface, and then I would play them right back out into a bass amp.
Oh, nice.
And that's how we
Oh,
played without him.
cool. And then they'd
Cool.
mic the bass amp kind of thing, you know?
Yeah,
like,
or DI
Yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
you know.
Nice.
Wow.
We were playing the tracks anyways, so
Sure.
it just made sense.
Yeah.
Well, let's just record the bass, but instead of having the bass in the system, let's have it on stage, so it's like he never left.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
great.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
very cool.
You
yeah.
kept his amp. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we bought him that. I think Red Bull bought him that.
Red
amp,
Bull.
actually. Yeah.
So,
bringing it
so
up
let's kind of like
current.
come into the present day.
Okay.
Like, what are you doing now?
It's funny from having to learn how to adapt. I learned how to use Ableton in more ways than I had imagined, and that ended up helping me later down the road with what I do now. Is I do playback for big name artists.
Oh.
So I've been running playback for a band called 30 Seconds to Mars.
Nice.
Oh, yes, I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Shout out Jared.
Yeah, Jared Leto. Yeah, I've been doing that for about 5 years,
Oh, cool.
and just recently started doing playback for Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've
That's dope.
also heard of him. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Ableton's amazing, man. It
Ableton's
is-
incredible. It's provided so many opportunities for me.
That's cool. Do you use any interface with it?
Yeah, I use UAD Apollos
Very
and
cool.
Mo2 interfaces.
Yeah, yeah.
It depends on the artist, and their
Sure.
rig.
Yeah.
And I have obviously like my own rig at home.
Any kind of MIDI that you work
Oh
with,
yeah,
like a push or something?
Yeah,
or-
Akai
Akai,
MIDI
yeah,
controllers,
yeah.
MPD8s. Like,
yeah.
It's funny. It comes full circle for me because I started music wanting to be a musician, but before I was doing that, I was very much into computers and computer science and
Yeah.
stuff because of my dad.
Yeah.
right? And then now, fast forward to what I do now, it's all computers and
That's
music.
so
It's
wild.
everything that my
Yeah.
dad was
Well,
teaching me when I was a
you've,
kid.
it's
That's
just like
so
the
cool.
marriage of all
Shaping
of
you,
that.
man.
Yeah,
I bet he
and-
must be super proud.
Oh, he's stoked.
Yeah.
That's
He's
so
so
rad.
hyped. Like every
Yeah.
time I see him, he's like, "Can you show me?
Ah.
Can you show me?" He's got Ableton
love
set
it.
up on his computer.
Oh,
like
man.
he wants to know it just to know it.
That's
so
That's how
cool.
my dad is.
Oh, that's great. Just got, like I said, I love that supportive parent.
Yeah.
So do you have any current song you want to play for us?
Ready, set, let's go! It's been a while since I've seen any of my friends. I couldn't wait until this loneliness would end. My mind was racing like there was no end in sight. What was I waiting for? This panic don't feel right. Been working hard now, writing music every day. No destination, but you know I'll find my way. I took for granted all the freedom to decide. I'll take my chance before I lose it all tonight. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. Saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. Wide awake, everyone on the floor. Take a look all around, don't be scared anymore. Grab a hand, take a stand, we don't gotta conform. Throw away all the fear, throw it straight out the door. Been working all day, it's alright to wanna play. Just don't forget to let your neighbor do the same. We took for granted all the freedom to decide. Let's take a chance before we lose it all tonight. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go. I saved it all for the show, so ready, set, let's go.
Oh
Yeah.
man, holy sugar-free Red Bulls.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah, this project's cool. It's like literally everything that's inspired me since I started.
I love
Dude.
it.
So it's funny to be talking about all this stuff, and I'm like realizing, oh shit, like I have
Culmination.
gone full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
And
it.
that's
Like, it's-
Rockwardness.
That's the story.
Yes,
Sam, you have
we
a
did
dope
our
story.
job. We
Yes.
did our job.
Right on.
Thanks so much, Sam.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
We did indeed do our job. Us
Yes.
Valiant 3 hosts of Rockwardness be we.
We did.
Yeah.
I feel good about it.
Pretty good.
Yes, coming full circle, showing the journey. This is what we're going for here on Rockwardness, connecting
man.
all the dots, because we are all works in progress, and every little piece we pick up along the way combines to make up the whole.
And hey, if we get wings along the way, that can help too.
Exactly. And the circle continues. Sam is making new music under a new name, introducing Koki. Definitely give him a listen. He's back and better than ever. You may have noticed yet another appearance of Young the Giant in this episode. I don't know. On this show, all roads lead to YTG. And if you haven't listened to our first episode with their guitarist Eric Kanata, I'd invite you to get your shit together and get that handled.
Do it.
And if you want to subscribe to our little pod so you never miss another episode, that'd be cool. If you want to rate and review, we love that too. Thanks for listening. We love you. See you next week on a very special episode of Rockwardness with Hannah Connolly.
Oh my goodness, can't wait.